And we're going live now. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jenny.
Right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Regulatory Committee agenda for 20th of June. Are there any apologies? So no apologies, so that's fine. Any disclosure of members' interests? Nope. Any late items? No late items. Confirmation of order of meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, for Claire and Lou? All those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried. Confirmation of minutes. So the Regulatory Committee unconfirmed minutes from the 9th of May. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, if these are correct and true? Lou? Oh no, hang on. Claire's got one moment to call it. Yep.
Yeah. There's a minor issue on page 8 under item 5. Just a little thing on the first line of the resolution. Is that the open minutes of the Regulatory Committee. It's missing the of the.
Okay. If that could be corrected, please, Jenny. Rightio. So can I have a mover and a seconder with those changes, please? Oh, that was Lou.
Change, I'll carry.
Yep, that's fine. All those in favour?
Aye.
Done. So 5.2, the Regulatory Committee unconfirmed minutes from the 9th of May, the public excluded ones. Can I have it clear?
Yep. Happy to move that.
Okay, great. Then Claire and Liz, all those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, item 6 is the quarterly report. Over to you, Quentin.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I've prepared this quarter's report, and it basically sets out that a number of matters in relation to hearings and independent commissioners. So we haven't had any hearings this quarter. There was one resource consent determination by an independent commissioner, and that was in relation to an application to remove a protected tree at 18 Lurkenwah Place in Cambridge. So that was approved to allow the removal of the tree. The other parts of the report relate to, I guess, the resource consents application of time extensions at the moment, and so we've removed the majority of extensions that are made, but have retained a 10-day extension just to subdivision applications, but that is continuing to be reviewed on an ongoing basis as well, with the view to eventually not applying, I guess, kind of a blanket extensions of time. And then the other remaining part of the report also just refers to consents that have gone over statutory timeframe. So this last quarter, there were 9 consents that went over timeframe, and that compares to the previous quarterly period where 15 consents went over statutory timeframe. And that, I guess, is in relation to vacancies within the consents team, and still not at full capacity. We've currently got 3 vacancies, which is around about kind of a quarter of the overall kind of team number, and we're looking to carry out recruitment and appoint new planners to those positions. And then another part of the update report as well was around the update on Plan Change 13 to be made operative. Just a bit of a correction there. The report refers to being made operative in September this year, when in fact I understand that plan change will be made operative in July. That's just coming. And then the appendix to the report also sets out current processing applications, pre-applications that we've had in the last quarter, and also applications that have been, or decisions made on applications as well. And that's, I guess, the general summary of the report. So I'm happy to take any questions if needed. Thanks.
Yep, go for it, Claire.
Yeah, thanks, Quentin. I've got some questions about the large resource consents that are being processed. Like, firstly, the global contracting solutions one, because we're getting quite a few emails about that. Like, have you got an idea of when it's likely a decision will be able to be made, whether it's publicly notified?
Not precisely. The application is still on hold, pending the response to the request for information that was made. Our most recent update from the applicant is that we'll receive that response within 1 to 2 weeks, and so following receiving that, then the overall application will need to be reviewed and reported on for making initially a notification decision, which we will also be, I guess, working with the regional council as well, and just I guess coordinating any processing and decision making in that area as well. So, time frame wise, I mean, it's, I guess, estimating really, but I would say probably not for at least another month, perhaps, but could be longer. Yeah, it depends on when we get that response, and how. I would say within a month period is probably wouldn't be any sooner than that. But yeah.
Oh, no, that's at least it's an idea. Yeah, thanks. And the other questions I had related to ones in my ward. They've got DS Syndicate's got a 47 lot subdivision proposed for Franklin Street, Pirongia. Like, would that likely be notified in some way to the community? Like, I'm not saying it. It's like, I'm not saying it needs to be publicly notified, but because of the size of it, would that mean that it's likely to get at least some sort of consultation on it?
Not necessarily. I guess scale of the proposal isn't, I guess, strictly one of the matters, but it would really be in relation to the adverse effects. I'm not entirely across that application, but I understand that it is on hold at the moment, and that there's some issues being worked through in relation to public access into and around the development. So yeah, I'm not aware of any strong indicators that would lead to notification at this stage, but yeah, I don't have I guess a kind of a clear picture of that at the moment. Sorry.
Oh yeah, okay, thanks. So, and then the other one was the Waikoha station resource consent, because it's been going on for quite a long time now. It says it's still in process.
That's right. So initially, there has been some delays with this application. There's been some, I guess, kind of issues and maintaining contact with the applicant or the applicant's agent following someone resigning and not making us aware. But I did receive a draft planning report on that application from the consultant planner that's processing the application on behalf of council. However, there were some, I guess, information matters that were unclear. That in an initial review that I did, I asked the planner to go back to the ecologists that we've engaged, and also to the applicant, to clarify further information. One example is the applicant had outlined that they have fenced the SNA since the spraying, but I've asked them to clarify the extent of that fencing, just to understand I guess kind of the magnitude of what work they've actually done since that spraying. So, and then also to get some further clarification from the ecologist around the requirement for replacement planting. So there was still some, I guess, matters that came up following an initial review of the planning report, and I'm expecting to get that response back within the next week or two.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much. Thanks, Marcus.
Roger?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Quentin. Seems a lot of activity in the quarry section currently, doesn't it? Any sign of the consent being the application being lodged for the other quarry in Cambridge, the one north of the expressway?
I think, yeah, if you're referring to the one on Newcombe Road that we've
Yeah.
had pre-application meeting for. So no further update on that. We haven't received the application, and I think we were advised that it was going to be in the kind of the first part of this year, but that's since passed. But yeah, I guess we're just waiting for the applicant to prepare their submit their application, but as yet it has not been received.
Right, okay. And the 25% shortage on your team, are you seeing from the applications coming in, is there any light at the end of the tunnel for that for you? It's a hell of a market out there, isn't it, for staff?
It is. It's a very challenging market, and I think a lot of the Waikato councils are finding it difficult to fill positions. The I guess workload, well, easing off is probably a bit of a understatement, but we're not I guess receiving the same very high volumes that we were leading up to the end of last year and the beginning of this year, but we are still incredibly busy and do still carry a high workload. We're just still going through the process of carrying out the recruitment to fill those positions, so we should make some progress in that area, but
so
it's still. So we've advertised, and I guess we're just looking through the applicants to.
Oh, so you have had some reasonable applicants that have submitted?
We've had some interest, and I guess it's just a matter of shortlisting to see if we can fill all of those positions, which we're hoping to do, but yeah, not sure at this stage.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Can I just come back, Mr. Chair, to the question raised by Councillor Claire St Pierre relating to the Global Contracting Solutions Limited application. Clearly, that application is generating a lot of commentary and requests out there to notify the application. Quinton is absolutely right in that we can't make a decision on the notification issue until we have all the information. We do note that there's been a request of Zero Waste folk to request the Environment Minister, David Parker, to intervene and call the application in. So that's a separate request and has nothing to do with the council, be it Waipa, Waikato Regional, or the applicant. That call-in procedure is a matter for the minister. So I would think it'd be unlikely for the minister to make a decision in that regard until at least all the information has been submitted to the consent authorities, because that's important. But saying all of that, transparency is really important, and we have put all the information on our council website as a consent of interest, and people can find that at council's website in terms of the consents of interest, and including all the application information and the further information requests that we have made of the applicant. As soon as we have all the information, then we will carefully consider the issues of notification, both for us and in conjunction with the Waikato Regional Council, and those decisions will be made and put on our website. Thank you.
Cool. And so can I have a mover and a seconder, please, to accept the quarterly report? So Liz and Roger, all those in favour?
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
so carried. Now, number 7, request to determine the number of environmental benefit lot entitlements. Over to you, Dominic.
Hi, my name is Dominic Harris, and I'm a planner for the Waipa District Council and also the author of the report requesting a number of environmental benefit lots to be determined.
Dominic, are you able to turn your camera on?
Yeah, sure, 1 second.
Thanks.
There you
Oh.
go.
Dominic.
There
Hi,
we are.
nice to meet
Hello,
you.
Dominic.
Is it okay for me to use the acronym EBL in lieu of the full environmental benefit lot label? Yep.
That is fine, thanks.
Okay.
It is indeed.
So I will take my report as read and will summarise the key points. And following this, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So Cogswell surveys on behalf of the applicant, Donna Marie Watson and Stephen Glenn Watson, have written to council and provided an ecologist report requesting that 7 EBL entitlements be awarded in exchange for the ongoing protection of 5 identified forest remnants blocks located at 244 Robinson Road. The forest blocks overall have been described as Tawa forest that are in good condition with largely intact and entirely indigenous canopies. And they are also protected by existing QE2 open space covenants, encompassing a total area of 25.4 hectares. So there are 3 of the forest remnants contain headwater streams of the Mangapiko stream. The applicant's ecologist report identified that several native fauna were observed within the forest remnant blocks, including tui, kereru, bellbird, and also possibly long-tailed bats. Forest remnant A is around 3.26 hectares in area and is largely confined to the southern side of the gully. A small stream flows through this forest remnant, and the canopy consists of tawa, rewa, and mangaao, pigeonwood, kanuka, manuka, and mahui, and the occasional pukitea. Forest remnant B and C. Forest remnant B is 7.26 hectares in area, and forest remnant C is 4.47 hectares in area. These 2 remnants form a continuous piece of bush. These blocks are located predominantly along the southern side of the gully, and the canopy is dominated by tawa and mangaao with rewa and pigeonwood. The ridgeline along the northern part of remnant B, where it joins remnant A, has a canopy dominated by kanuka and tree fern. There is also a small stream present in the steeper parts of the gully within these remnants. Forest remnant D is 5.36 hectares in area with a canopy of tawa, mangaao, and rewa. The lower slopes of the hill to the northeast of the forest fragment contain regenerating indigenous species, including kanuka, mahui, mapo, and lemonwood. Forest remnant E is the 2 forest remnants of 3.5 hectare and 0.5 hectares and have been grouped together under the QE2 covenant. The fenced off area between the 2 remnants does not contain canopy trees and is dominated by rank pasture, grasses, and gorse. The main canopy species are mangaao and tawa, amongst other indigenous species. Overall, these forest remnant blocks are located within the Waipa District Plan Biodiversity Corridor and form part of a wider mosaic of remnants, which provide a stepping stone for mobile indigenous species and long-tailed bats, linking the Mangatoki Ecological Sanctuary with more distant forest remnants such as Pirongia and Kakipuku. I undertook an assessment against relevant criteria in the district plan with EBLs and can confirm that the blocks are located within identified significant natural areas. All blocks are entirely within the biodiversity corridor. The applicant's ecology report from Blue Wattle was referred to council's consultant ecologist Andrew Blaney. Mr. Blaney advised that the Blue Wattle report was well written and agreed with the overall assessment that the ongoing protection of the forest remnant blocks do qualify for EBL entitlements and will result in the ongoing protection of a significant area of high ecological value and will contribute greatly to the biodiversity of the district. Mr. Blaney advised in his comments that he is too supportive of 7 EBL entitlements being awarded. Mr. Blaney reviews many of our EBL entitlement requests and EBL applications and has confirmed that the number of EBLs to be awarded in this instance is consistent with similar decisions in the past. On the basis of the recommendations of the applicant's ecologist report and the advice of council's consultant ecologist, it is my opinion that the recommendation be an awarding of 7 EBL entitlements subject to the submission of a detailed ecological management plan at the time a subdivision application is made in the future. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks for that, Dominic. I have one question. I'd like to know, like, so there is a privet in there and a couple of things that needs to be removed. What guarantees that can we have that those pest species would be removed if we grant the EBLs?
Yeah, so noting that this recommendation for those EBL entitlements is subject to a detailed management plan being submitted at the time of the subdivision application. And so that would at that time be referred to our consultant ecologist. And I'd imagine that those would be some of the issues raised in that and addressed at the time of application.
Okay, cool. Lou?
Just quickly, you actually answered the question, Dominic. Actually, what I was going to ask was the fact that the management and restoration plan, has that actually already been registered, or is that something that was going to be registered?
So they did submit a management plan with their request for EBL entitlements. It doesn't form part of this review. We just look at the ecological assessment of that significant natural area and determine the number of EBL entitlements. And our ecologist has said that those entitlements be subject to that management plan being submitted at the time of application.
But my question was really the fact that that plan would actually be part of our granting of these EBLs and the implementation of it. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. Yep. Form part of the resource consent application.
Thank you very much.
Roger?
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Thanks, Dominic. Mine's a question of clarification. I have no problem with any of the wish to have a long-term protection on these obviously very beneficial environmental lots. But it's if there is a QE2 covenant already on land, does that not already enable a level of long-term protection? And therefore, is there a need in terms of protection for the EBLs to be granted as part of a further legal protection?
Yeah, so correct. It's protected by an existing QE2 covenant. And so I guess we do provide EBL entitlements for areas that are protected by an existing legal arrangement. In this case, they didn't receive EBL entitlements at the time that this was protected. But in cases like these, they also do provide, for example, in this case, a management plan, which would further restore and protect and ensure that there's the correct ongoing management of that area and awarding these EBL entitlements.
Right, okay.
Perhaps
So there are additional benefits to us for the award of those EBLs.
Correct. So I understand that I'm not too sure on the details of the QE2 covenant itself. I think it varies between agreement. The owner has undertaken some of their own kind of pest management and measures like this, but the management plan to be submitted at the time of subdivision application would ensure that those management measures are undertaken in those areas, and that continues to improve that significant natural area.
Just can I just elaborate through you, Mr. Chair, on Dominic's response? It's and I was anticipating sort of question like this, Councillor Gordon, because it is a fair question to raise in terms of if we have existing protection mechanisms out there in terms of QE2, why are we giving EBLs? But I know when we discussed this as part of the district plan process, it was quite important that we didn't penalise those persons or those landowners that had gone out there and done QE2s on their own back earlier on in the absence of environmental benefit lots. So we were all encompassing in the rule to retrospectively look back on those existing QE2s as well as future consent notice requirements of ongoing protection. So it was quite deliberate in that sense.
Good,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Liz?
Yeah, so just following on from that one, would you then predict perhaps more applications where we do have QE2, protections in place for other landowners to be looking for more, or to start, this process and introducing EBLs to their property?
Yeah, well, Quinton might be best placed to answer how many have come through in terms of existing QE2 protections versus those that don't have any current protection for consent notices. I haven't seen a whole raft of them coming through. I know there has been one or two that are related to existing QE2 protections, but no, I don't. I haven't seen a whole bunch of them. But as I say, Quinton might be able to provide a bit more advice in that space.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Wayne. We don't get, they're not a huge component of the overall number of EBL requests that we get. I'm not sure if I could probably put a figure on it, but they're not all that common. They're usually, I guess, in relation to future protected areas, and within the actual subdivision consent applications we receive, that if there's not the existing protection on them, then we do apply consent conditions that require that ongoing protection. And that, in my experience, just I guess kind of empirical observation, tends to be the majority where we are actually putting conditions on to actually protect those areas rather than areas that are already protected through the QE2 covenant. So yeah, I can't give an actual kind of percentage, but it's kind of it's the minority anyway.
Cool. Any other questions for staff? Nope. Well, I'm happy to, excuse me, I'm happy to move this. Have I got a seconder? Liz? Cool, all those in favour?
Aye.
Great, carried. So that's it. Thank you very much, team, for your attendance this morning.